Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen, the Get Some podcast. And my guest this week is...
This motherfucker Gary.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen, to Get Some podcast. We will start with my schedule. This weekend, I'm in Denver, Colorado at the Improv, 21st through the 23rd. And then December 29th, I'm in San Antonio, Texas at the Tobin Center. December 30th and 31st, I'm at the Texas Trust Theater in Grand Prairie, Texas, a.k.a. Dallas. January 5th through the 7th, 2024. I'm in Ontario, California at the Improv. And then January 13th, I'm in Jacksonville, Florida at the Moran Theater. January 14th, I'm in Fort Lauderdale at the Hard Rock. And then I'm coming home January 18th to the 21st to Cincinnati, Ohio. And I'm going to end January the 26th to the 28th in Irvine at the Improv. And yeah, that's far enough to go. We don't need to go a month and a half out. This will be the last podcast of the year. Taking next week off. It's the holidays. Anybody trying to come in and work on the holidays? So, let me just get right into it. This week sucked. As some of you know, in the a couple weeks ago, I spoke about going to see my son at his job and didn't approach him, but did get to see him in his element. I was happy to see him, things of that nature. And after that, I got some not so nice text from my son. I'll put it that way. And then my ex, their mom, she made a post of how I was kind of looking. I don't know why. I guess her post was something along the lines of, I don't know why I had to make this post. I'm just looking for sympathy, things like that. And she since has taken it down. But needless to say, I kind of was like, dang, I didn't even say nothing bad. I was just talking about my son. I was happy to see him and happy to see him doing well and finding his way in life. And I got crushed. And then this week, and in that podcast a couple weeks ago, I had said, I'm going to end up going to my daughter's graduation. And my daughter wasn't happy that I announced I was coming and to her graduation. And I'm just not sure. It's no secret. Everybody knew where she went. But so she graduated from North Carolina A&T last week, summa cum laude, which is like smarter than I've ever been. Double major. She just graduated in 3.5 years, crushed it. Very proud of her. But like I said, we haven't talked in 3 years. And so I go, and it was made apparent that I got sent texts like, don't approach her, don't talk to her. It's fine, you're coming. Like, I didn't need permission, but I'm trying to respect everybody's wishes and not make it awkward. This isn't about me. It's about her. And so I go, and first time I laid eyes on her in about 1.5 years. So I see her, and I was like, oh, I got excited. Took some pictures. I actually hired a photographer to take pictures and videos of her. She didn't realize it, that I had hired this guy. And so when she got her diploma, I shot her a text. I said, congratulations. And I saw her look at her phone and not respond. And so that kind of hurt. And then when the graduation was over, I had taken some pictures and everything. I sent her a couple shots, and I just said, I'm so proud of you. And I got her response to me was, I'm blocking you. And I was like, what, for coming to your graduation? And then she responded, I don't respect her boundaries, things of that nature. And it was unexpected. I think in the back of my brain, I thought when I texted her, I thought I wouldn't get any response. I would be ignored, or I'd get a simple thank you. But to say I'm blocking you, and I don't know if she has or not, that kind of put a damper on things. It was a long. I flew into Charlotte and drove to Greensboro for the graduation, then drove back to Charlotte afterwards. And it was a long, quiet. I don't even remember the drive back. It was just like it's a blur. It was just empty. You're asking yourself as a dad, how did it get to this point? What happened? I understand the divorce happened and everything. Everybody took that hard, but it's been 3 years. And I thought at this point we'd be laughing about all the craziness that happened during the divorce, which it wasn't super crazy in the end, but it still was jarring. Your whole life changes. But I didn't divorce them. I divorced their mother. And for the longest, I got killed on social media. Killed numerous times. Got just like, God, one time I wore a T-shirt and I wore the wrong T-shirt. And there was a post about the T-shirt I wore that said breadwinner on it. And, all these women that I slept with, allegedly, it was a lot. And to think like, I think when you're in an unhappy marriage, for me to like go in on my ex doesn't help anybody, but nobody's hands are clean in this divorce. Like I think I stayed in it for a long time because of the kids, and I was worried my past was going to catch up to me, and it did, completely. Some was correct and some was incorrect. I'll put it like that. But I guess it's weird to grow up without a dad, and then your mom marries a stepdad that's very abusive, and then you tell yourself like, okay, well, I told myself when I have kids, I'm not going to be that dude. So I had two examples that were terrible. I have my biological father, who was absentee, and then I have my stepfather, who was around but was abusive. So I said, I'm not going to do that. When I have kids, I'm going to be focused. I'm going to be a good dad. And then when me and my ex first got together, she had a son already. And I remember I almost left right when we started dating because I had said, I'm scared I'm going to turn into my stepdad. And I remember she was like, no, don't worry about that. Just follow my lead and I won't allow that to happen. And so, I ended up raising her son, and then we had our two kids, raised them. And I guess the stuff that sucks in all this is I constantly get told what I did wrong, and I never get told anything I did right. It's almost like I was the worst dad on the planet. I wasn't around emotionally for them. Physically, I wasn't there. I was never. It's just like it's turned into this really strange reality for me. For someone that stayed in an unhappy marriage for years because of my kids, and that wasn't right either. That wasn't fair to my ex. I should have allowed her to move on and find somebody else. And I stayed in this marriage that I wasn't happy in because of my kids. And I left 3 times during our relationship. And a lot of people don't know. I mean, one time was so wild. Like I took the kids. I left and took the kids. We got in some kind of argument at Chipotle in Burbank, California. And it was over something really minor, but it was a buildup of things. And both the kids were in diapers, and I think we had just got married. So that was, I remember what it was. It was the night Antonio Tarver knocked out Roy Jones. It was a Saturday. And I remember we got in this big argument at Chipotle, and I was so steaming. I had the kids with me. I went back to the house and grabbed a bunch of stuff out of the house and just started driving. And I remember I drove, we're living in L.A., I drove to Palm Springs, and we stopped at a Walmart, and I picked up like diapers, food, what I thought a couple games for the kids. And then we got to Phoenix, and that's where I got the hotel room in Phoenix. And that's when I remember I got us residents in because they had a living room and a bedroom. And I remember I put Austin and Kenny in the bedroom. I slept in the living room. And that's when I remember I turned on ESPN, and that's when I saw Roy Jones got knocked out. I remember Charles Barkley. I remember this like yesterday. The Lakers were playing the Pistons that night. This is how good my memory is. The Lakers were playing the Pistons that night in the NBA Finals, and it was halftime of the game. And then I heard Barkley say, "Dang, Roy Jones got knocked out." And then I was like, "No way!" And then I just remember I watched the end of the game, the Pistons and Lakers, and got up at like 4:30 in the morning so I could I figured I could get a couple hours on the road and the kids were still asleep. Because I remember I loaded them up we had this big excursion. I loaded them up in this excursion, and then we drove to El Paso, and I stopped at a Target in El Paso, and I remember Austin had a meltdown in the middle of Target. He was like, "Ah!" I was like, "Oh my God, I got to get out of here." We got a couple toys, and really I stopped to stretch your legs out. And then we ended up at a friend of mine's house in Dallas. So I remember I drove from L.A. to Dallas with one stop in Phoenix. And I think that's, if you look it up, it's like a 24-hour drive if you just go straight. And what I remember about that trip, there's a couple things I remember about that road trip. It's funny when something like that happens, you're leaving a relationship and you got these two kids. I got to be the only guy that leaves and takes my kids with me. Like, I didn't leave her with the kids. I took them with me. And now looking back on it, there's some funny things that happened on that road trip and some not so funny things that was scary. I remember we was driving and I smelled something, and my daughter Kenny dropped a deuce in her diaper. I was like, "What stinks?" And she's looking back there smiling at me. And then I remember I pulled over on the side of the highway in the middle of Texas somewhere. I'm talking nowhere, because between El Paso and Dallas, there's not a lot. It's desert. And I pulled over, and it was like this rundown gas station that was closed. Nobody's around. And I don't think Austin was in diapers. No, Austin wasn't in diapers. Austin was 3, almost 3. I think it was 2.5, 3. So, because I remember Austin went to the back of this gas station and was peeing. And I said, "Just go over there and take a piss." So we standing up, and Austin would drop his shorts all the way to his ankles. So I just looked over, and there's my son, his little 3-year-old butt sticking out, looking back, taking a piss. And then I got the back of the excursion open. You know, SUVs are pulled down the tailgate, and I'm changing her diaper, and I looked, and there was a car coming down the road, not the highway, the side road. And it was literally out of a movie. It was a beat up bucket, like an Oldsmobile Cutlass or something. And there was just dust coming. And I go, "Austin, come on." And he looked at me, I go, "Come on." And he pulled his pants and came running up. I put Kenny in the car seat with no diaper on, just threw the dirty diaper aside, and we took off. Like, I don't know who those people were. I don't know if anything was going to happen. I just was like, we got to go. And we couldn't risk it. And we just take off. And then I also remember about that trip is I had the Spider-Man movie on DVD, and that's what we watched the entire drive over and over and over again. I think I memorized the one with Tobey Maguire, William Dafoe, that one, the first one. And I just remember after the movie would end, that video would come on Hero. "There's a hero to save us. I'm not going to stand here today." My kids, that the movie would end, that video would come on, and then my daughter would be like, "Dad, play it again." And then I look back, and then the video would end, and it goes, "Dad," and then we just play it. For like hours, it seemed like that song would be played. And the good thing is I liked the song, but they were just intrigued by it. Like, and then as soon as they were, "Dad, play it again." And we played it. And then I remember I went to my friend Loretta's house, and I was friends with her whole family. And we stayed there and ended up calling Kenya. This was Saturday. I called Kenya Monday morning and just told her, like, you know, this is crazy. I'm not happy. Things like that. The same like kind of things you say, and when you don't want to be married anymore. And then she ended up flying out to Dallas, and we end up hanging out for like 3-4 days with just us and the kids. And then she flew back with the kids to L.A., and then I said, I need some time to figure out if I want to stay in this relationship. And then I stayed in Dallas another week. And then I had to, not a week, but like 3-4 days, but then I had to drive the excursion back. So I was like, drive the car back to L.A. So I drove back, and then, gave it the old try. Like, let's see if we can make this work. And that more than anything is like, that was one of the reasons we ended up moving back to Ohio, because I was just like, we don't have any help, and we're just kind of like, I was doing okay financially, but wasn't doing great, and Kenya wasn't working, so it was like I was the sole income, and so I said we got to slow our life down basically, and then we ended up going back to Ohio. So that was the second time I left. The first time I left, I didn't really leave. We just started dating, and I had told her like, I don't think I want to be serious, because I just gotten on like BET. I got a movie with Jamie Foxx, and honestly, I wanted to wild out. If I'm just being honest, I wanted to wild out. I was in LA, now I'm getting a little fame, so I got more attention coming to me, and I was like, so I told her, I said, I don't think I want to be in a relationship. And then, so we had soft broken up in the beginning, and then when we were together, I was getting ready to go to New York for the first time, and Kenya never been in New York. So she had called me. She goes, hey, I know we're not together, but I've never been to New York, and I'd really like to go on the trip. And then I was like, where are you going to stay? And she was like, well, I guess I'm just staying with you. And I was like, oh, well. So long story short, we end up staying together in New York in the same room, guy and girl that were just dating. So what do you think happened? Yeah, we messed around every night. And then we kind of got back together after that, New York. And then, then we got serious and had a couple kids, got married, and then that happened. So, but the reason I never wanted to be a weekend dad, and I didn't want somebody else raising my kids. So I remember after the Dallas incident, I came back and I go, okay, let's try to work this out. And then I left in 2017. I remember I said I want a divorce. And I remember I got this bomb penthouse in Cincinnati. It was like the top floor of this new building. And it was a Mac Daddy suite, I called it. And I had moved out, and then I wanted a divorce, and I told her. And then I remember she said, well, how are we going to tell the kids? And I said, I don't know. And then we said, let's figure this out, because she didn't know how to tell the kids, and I didn't know how to tell them. And then so it's weird. Like I wanted the divorce, but then I didn't want to leave the kids either. So then I came back again, and I already paid for this dang penthouse thing for a year, because in my mind I was like, okay, my kids are going to take it hard, but if I get a 3-bedroom bomb place downtown Cincinnati, I really think my son and daughter like to hang out here. That's the only reason I got a 3-bedroom, because I wanted them to stay with me. I was figuring we'd be splitting time with them. And we end up trying to work it out again for the kids. And then this last time I just couldn't take it. I just was like, the kids were grown now. And honestly, that probably played into it. And I said, I wanted a divorce. And I had a bad feeling like it wasn't going to go smooth. This one I knew it wasn't going to go smooth. I was like, because I called and I was like, I want a divorce. And then obviously there's tears. You go through every range of emotion, me and her, and we talked for hours on the phone. And then I just remember I told her, I said, look, I don't want anybody knocking on the door and surprising you with basically it was a process server. And I was like, she goes, what do you mean? I go, I don't. She goes, you already got a lawyer? You've already made plans for this? I go, yeah, that's what you do in a divorce. And she went, oh, and then that really was when everything went left. Because before that point, we were talking about we'll sit down with the kids, we will tell them, we how we want to do this divorce. And she was like, maybe we can be a good example of a married couple. Let's show how people can be divorced and be civilized. Man, that went left. That didn't work out. And I remember when I called her, I said, I want a divorce. We talked, and I said, look, I don't want somebody knocking on the door and surprising you. And she goes, what do you mean? And I said, well, somebody's going to give you some papers. And she was like, what? And my lawyer told me, do not tell her a process server's coming. And I said, no, she ain't. I remember telling her, because she ain't like that. She ain't like, we're cool. We've been talking. We're cool. And then she was like, okay. She's like, I'm telling you, this is what I do. I'm a divorce attorney. People turn into, you'll see a side of people you never thought you'd see. And I was like, when she got mad about that, I went, oh no. And then all of a sudden, I was in Naples, Florida. I was on stage that Friday. That Thursday we had talked. I told her about the paperwork. She had gotten upset. She didn't answer the door when the process server knocked. And her mind was, how dare you have somebody come to the house with our kids here? And our daughter wasn't there, but our son was there. And our son is over 18. He can handle it. And I was like, well, they're coming for you. They're not going to be like the process server. It's on you to just take the paper and whatever. So anyways, that Friday, so we had this big discussion Thursday, and that Friday I got off stage, and that's when it hit TMZ and BET and People and AOL and everywhere else. And I was like, that's when it was, that's when I saw the Gary Owen and can you do getting a divorce? And I go, what happened? And they said she filed in LA. And I went, what? We don't live in LA. We got a place in Ohio and a place in Northern California. And to this day, I don't understand the LA move. Like, why would she fly down to LA and file unless she wanted it to go public? And that's where everything went left with everything. Like, that's what my lawyer said. I told you don't tell her. And I was like, oh my God. And then now there was this huge, like, I'm trying to get served. She's trying to get served. And the bad part was when it hit the fan, I called my daughter and we were talking, and she was supposed to come see me in Baltimore. And my lawyer said, Gary, you can't have your kids around till somebody gets served. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, if your kids are with you, they can get served. Like and just like an employee can get served. If you got anybody working for you, they can get served. And I go, what? So I had to, tell my daughter, like, I came up with some excuse, like, I don't know if I'm going to go to Baltimore or not. And I really didn't when I told her that. I was planning on it, but I wasn't 100% sure. And then, my daughter kept needling me with questions. And I was just going, I didn't answer any of them because at this point, I don't know if everything's being recorded. I don't know what can be used against me. And I'm just going, whoa. So, I don't know. Everything just went left after that. And from the outsiders looking in, they're probably like, well, I couldn't see my kids till somebody got served. And you can look at it both ways. You'd be like, well, you could say, like, did that cause your relationship with your kids? I don't know. But at the same time, like, she could have got served also. If she was really concerned about the relationship with the kids, like, she could have got served. So we were both avoiding a process server. And I don't hold that against her. I mean, she's doing what she feels best for her. I was doing what I feel was best for me. And so, I don't really know what happened after that. I got text messages from the kids up to that point. My daughter would always say, thank you. Thank you for everything you've done, what you've continued to do for me. My son and me was cool. And then during the course of the divorce, everything just went like left. And I understand they can be upset about some things, but to just cut off communication with me, and I can't get anybody on the phone, and the only texts I get are not good, and I don't know what to do at this point. I've exhausted every resource I have to see them and to have a relationship with them. I don't know what to do. So if anybody sees them or knows them, I mean, I don't know if you could talk to them, but listen, my door is open. Whenever they're ready to restart the relationship, I'm here. When they call me like, Dad, come on, we're ready to talk, I'm there. I don't care if I got a show or not. I'm on the next flight. Because when I say I've exhausted my resources, like, my son, every time I'm in the Bay or even not, I asked him to go to the Super Bowl with me. He didn't want to go. I went to Hawaii. He didn't want to go. I was back in Ohio. He didn't want to meet me. And I was just like, dang. And same with my daughter. Like, at one point, I flew to Greensboro. I knocked on her door. I found out where she lived, and she wouldn't answer the door. And then my ex got on the phone with my road manager, who was with me, and she was like, she said she's calling me. She's in hysterics, and I'm going, what? My thing was, what did she think was going to happen? I'm just going to talk. There's no abuse in this relationship. Nobody ever got hit. Never even whooped my daughter. Nothing. There's no emotional abuse. I was always there to support them. Never put them down. Still wouldn't. I'm not gonna lie about things, but I'm not gonna put them down. But it's just like I didn't get the reaction. Like I wish my ex would have just said, told my daughter, open the door, go talk to your dad, work this out. But and then I found out one time she was flying to Cincinnati. I happened to be in Cincinnati, and I met her at the airport, and she ducked in a bathroom and never came out. And I was like, dang. So that was the last time I laid eyes on her. That was August of 2022 up until her graduation. And then to go to her graduation and just that whole I'm going to block you. That was it. That got me right there. I ain't going to lie. And I guess what hurts is like my kids keep saying I'm doing the bare minimum, or I left mom hanging, and that's so far from the truth. I'm not gonna get into numbers of what we settled in the divorce, and we settled. We didn't go to court. We end up going to a mediation. We worked it out, and she got a lot. She got it in the end. It's well over 7 figures, what she got in the divorce. And I didn't go to court and want to haggle back and forth. And I was sick of giving the lawyers money. So I go, let's just work this out. And, I made sure and no court would have made me pay my daughter's tuition, but I paid for her school. Everything, all 3.5 years I paid for of her schooling. And then to get told I'm going to block you, I was like, dang. And then paid for the first year of rent at my ex's new place. I said, I'll take care of the first year of rent. I'm not going to leave you high and dry like that. I wouldn't do that. And, during the course of the divorce, when it was brought out that I had left and I wasn't paying any more bills and things of that nature, look, I'm going to keep that private, but I was doing a lot, but I wasn't paying the mortgage at some point. I had to stop paying it, but that's neither here nor there. But I ended up, she got a lot. She got a lot. And I don't, I guess I don't know what else to do, man. I don't know what else to do. I'm so like, I don't know, to be called a deadbeat and things like that, and to know that growing up, I never missed a practice. I never missed a game when I was in town, a recital, never missed a birthday. Whenever their schedule came out, I revolved my stand-up schedule around my kids' schedule, whether it was sports or recitals, talent shows. I mean, I always made sure I was there, man. I was there, and it's not easy being a stand-up. We work on the weekends, but I made sure, like, if it was feasible, there's not a day I was home. If they had a practice or a game, I wasn't there. Granted, I'm gone 3 days out of the week, 4 days out of the week sometimes, but when I'm home, I was there. My kids never rode the bus, ever. We picked them up from school, and we took them to school. And if I was in town, I did it. And if I was out of town, Kenya did it. And then sometimes, she'd take them, I'd pick them up. And those are honestly, some of the best memories was just, at one point, me and my daughter, like, she really got into Starbucks. Like most girls at about 11, 12, they get into Starbucks. And, some of the best memories just picking her up. I'm like, let's go to Starbucks. And just hanging out there for a little bit with her. Or going to little hole-in-the-wall coffee shops. Sometimes we go downtown and sit outside if the weather was nice. And just, she always liked to. I remember one time we was at some coffee shop sitting out front on Vine Street, downtown Cincinnati. And the waitress comes, she goes, how you guys doing? I remember Kenny, she was like, divine. And she had a little hot chocolate and a little espresso cup. And, they were just good memories. And if anybody went to school with them, like, there's a reason I know all their classmates. Because I was around. Man. I think it'd be so much easier if I was a deadbeat or if I wasn't involved. But to have your whole life say, hey, I'm going to be a good dad and I want to be there for them. And I enjoyed it. It was never a burden. I thoroughly enjoyed going to practices, going to games, and meeting these kids. And now that's why I root for these kids that are, I don't know what happened, but we were in an area of Cincinnati in a time frame where there were just some athletes coming out of there. Jackson Hayes for the Lakers, Sean Clifford for the Green Bay Packers, Paris Johnson for the Arizona Cardinals, Miles McBride plays for the New York Knicks. Not to mention there's plenty of D1 female basketball players, Jillian Hayes for UC, and there's just so many that, I got to see all those kids grow up. And got to see all of them play sports. And they, it was just cool. And that's why I root for them, They're hometown kids. I've seen them grow up because I was around. And just to see how it just went. And all I get told through text and everything is everything I've done wrong. And I don't get anything I've done right. According to whatever, I've never done anything right. And granted, I'm human. I ain't perfect. There's things I wish I would have did different when it comes to the marriage. Not being a parent, but during the marriage, of course, like, I can own my stuff between me and my ex. Like, I can own it. I know I was wrong in a lot of things that I did, but it never interfered with my relationship with the kids, and my kids always came first. Yeah. So, I don't know. I really don't know what else to do at this point. I'm stuck. And now that my daughter's out of school, I don't really know where she's going. My kids aren't on social media. And according to my daughter, I'm blocked. And I don't get, I don't get to see pictures of them. I search the internet. I can't find anything. I don't get anything sent to me like pictures or videos of that nature of holidays and things. And last Christmas I sent everybody stuff, and I think they got it. I don't know. I know Emilio did, or her oldest. He sent me a thank you. That was awesome. But my other two, I don't know if they got what I sent. I have no way to know. So all I want to do is sit down and talk, figure this out, how to restart the relationship. And not to poke blame. I want to know what they went through. I want to know what they was feeling when the divorce happened, and their little bubble got burst, and it was it's because I wanted the divorce, and I wish it would have never went public. I wish my ex wouldn't have gone to L.A. and filed, and they found out through TMZ. That wasn't the plan. I wish I wish my ex would have just kept everything between us and not go public with it, because right or wrong, in the end, it hurt the relationship with the kids the most. The most. And I can own my indiscretions. I can own my infidelities. I was completely wrong in all of it, and I'm sorry. But it didn't have to be for public consumption like that. And it wasn't needed. Nobody needed to get dragged. Especially when I'm the one that filed for divorce. Like, that wasn't fair to her. I didn't want to continue to be a cheater. I didn't want to continue to do that. I just like this, I was so worried, man. I was so worried. Like, I want a divorce, but I don't want any of this to go public. And I knew, and my ex will tell you, she's Inspector Gadget. Once I said I wanted a divorce, I don't know who got in her ear or what happened, but she went to great lengths to find out my entire past, 20 some years. And, yeah, just, so I don't know if anybody knows my kids, show them this podcast and tell them I'm here. I'm ready to talk when they are. To my daughter, I'm extremely proud of you to finish school in 3.5 years, summa cum laude. Ooh, at a great university, North Carolina A&T. I'm glad I went. I'm glad I got to see it. I'm glad I got pictures and videos. But what I can't get back is I don't have a picture of us on that day. I wish that just messes me up on the inside. I really thought when we went to mediation about 16 months ago, we went to mediation, and that's when we decided we're going to settle this divorce, and I'll give you this, and this is what you can get in the divorce, basically. And I just thought, I remember I went outside and I had 2 lawyers, and one lawyer said, Gary, she'll never get that much if you go to court. She'll never get what you're offering, she won't get. And my other lawyer said, yeah, but you're buying your kids back right now. You can't get time back. And I was like, yeah. And granted, my one lawyer was probably saying that because she would have got more money if we would have went to trial. I'm not stupid. But I really thought after that, I thought my kids know, hey, I did right by your mom. I'm making sure she's straight. She's good financially. My daughter doesn't have to worry about college. You're good. You get to graduate even. And I just thought this is the beginning. This is it. And they're going to see I'm doing right by everything. When it comes to my kids, I'm a man of my word. I'm not going to say as a husband I was. Clearly I wasn't. But I never did anybody wrong financially. And I took great care of everybody. All the debt I took on. All of it. That we incurred together. Not that she incurred on her own. But the debt we incurred, I took care of. And it's a lot. It was a lot. I said, no, I got it. I'll handle it. I just want you to be okay, and I generally do. I generally want her to be happy, and I want her to be okay. And my kids, I want them to be okay. And I think this has hit me hard. One, because that text I got from her, and the other one is it's Christmas. This is the third Christmas I'm going to spend without my kids. The third one. I'm just like, I don't know what to do. And I've talked to other people in the entertainment business, and I'm shocked at some of the stories I've heard that I'm not alone in this and how this has gone down. Yeah. So I know this is how we didn't want to end the year, but yeah, I'm down in the dumps. I'm not okay. I know I'm smiling, but I ain't okay mentally. I'm struggling on the inside. That was a quiet ride back from Greensboro to Charlotte after graduation. And I think I got an hour's sleep that night before I left, just because, I was all over the place. I'm crying one second. I'm mad the next second. You want to lash out, but that ain't going to help nobody. And you're just like, man. And then I think what the worst is, like, I found out they were having a brunch the next day too. I was like, dang, they're having a graduation brunch. They had a party after graduation. And I just was like, all these people get to enjoy it, this time with her, and celebrate her as they should. And I'm out here like left in the cold. I'm like the guy that took care of everything, took care of tuition, took care of her growing up. The one that, picked her up from school, made sure you didn't miss anything. Just was there, man. I was around. It ain't about finance and everything. Like, I was there, I was involved, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Honestly, I look back, I had a great time being their dad. And I'm still their dad, but I'm talking about as children. Really enjoyed it. They used to get mad at me because I always want to take pictures and videos all the time. And they'd be like, Dad, stop. I'm so glad I didn't listen to him, because that's all I got right now. That's all I got is those videos and pictures on my phone. And we got the reality show. I'm glad I got that. It's a little time stamp that I can go back and watch the reality show and see them in that time in their lives. And my kids had good childhoods, man. We went on great vacations. We went on with Austin, man, I used to do this thing called a brocation every year. I took him and his two buddies, Miguel and Brandon, and they were like the three amigos. And we picked a different city every summer, and we went when they were in high school. So we went to San Diego one year, we went to Orlando one year, and we went to the Bahamas one year. And it was just us. It was the guys. And man, we had such a good time on those we call it the brocations. And I really want to do that because I didn't get to experience it as a kid. I wanted my kids to travel. I always thought kids that travel, they're just more well-rounded as they get older. I remember just going to Portland. We got a private tour of the Nike campus. That was dope. Anybody there worked with me on any film, whether the Think Like a Man cast, and they got to come out to L.A. and meet everybody, and Think Like a Man 2. And then I had the TV show with Shaq. That's summer 2012, man. That was awesome. Because, Shaq would open up his house, and he wouldn't even be home, and we got to go over there and go swimming, hanging out, and then found out King Griffey Jr. lived down the street. We'd go over his house and go swimming. It was dope. It was so much fun. And to see how that's gone from that to this, and to see like King Griffey's kids and to see him get to go to he was playing football at Florida A&M, or he's transferring now, but King gets to enjoy them, and they're at games and things like that. And I'm just sitting here like I'm on the outside looking in. I feel like I'm looking at everything through a window. Like, can I come in the house? Can I come in the house? And I honestly, I don't know what to do at this point. I'm completely lost. I feel like I've exhausted everything. I can't get anybody to get on the phone with me. Nobody will talk to me. Nobody wants to meet with me. And I don't really get I get the same like responses. I did the bare minimum for mom. I'm just a deadbeat. It's ugly. It's ugly. And I don't know what to do at this point. I'm lost, and I'm struggling, and I need some help. I need some help to restore my relationship with my kids, because clearly it's not going to happen with just how it's going. I don't know what else to do. And I'm sure when this comes, I'm going to get texts in that nature of, I'm just doing this for sympathy, or but it's also, you can look at it like, you got a dad that wants to see you. I want to be around you. I want to be in your life, and I want to restart the relationship, and I love you guys, and I'm here whenever you're ready. I'm here. So, all right, well, that's about all I can say. I could keep going, but that's all I got for this week. So I'll see you guys in 2024, and hopefully things change soon. I hope. But yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I need some help. I need some help with this, because I don't know what to do at this point. I am lost at everything. I've offered therapy. I'm going to individual therapy, but I'm like, we need to go to therapy, just me and my kids. And I don't know. I'd fly to wherever they're at every week if we had to meet with a therapist. It doesn't matter to me. I just want this relationship back, man. I miss them. All right, y'all. Well, I will see you guys next week. This is Gary on the Get Something Podcast.